Hello everyone. No, you are not hallucinating. This is, yes, actually another rant. After, how long? I don't even know. I kind of would rather not think about it. Because I've been kind of backed up with stuff going on. I mean, junior year, college, lots of stuff going on. But things have happened recently in my life that have made me turn back to looking at this kind of thing. And some things have brought up, so there will probably be a few more rants coming up. But this one is about something that I've noticed very predominantly in not only our society, but in just daily life. And that is the way that people see emotions. Now, I feel I could talk about this because I've been on both sides of the spectrum. Emotions are both victimized and thought of as a horrible thing that should be repressed, and oftentimes thought of as a horrible thing. Just wrap it up in caution tape, throw it to the side because no one wants to deal with it. And then there's the other side, where emotions are a good way of expressing yourself, and can be positive depending on what they are and how you deal with them. Now, I feel that I can talk about this because I've been on both sides of the spectrum. As you can see with most of my rants, I tend to get charged up and intense about things, and therefore I tend to get more involved in them. For things I feel strongly about, it makes more sense. It adds emphasis. It makes sense for something that emotion to be behind. So for that, I feel like it's justified. And it's not that bad of a thing. If it's something that you feel strongly about, emotions are understandable, as long as you keep them in check and in control. But then there's the other side, where I have also been thought of as being, and yes, I will say this actually tends to, categorize me pretty well, but 90% of the time, emotionally void. Besides, just normal, functional emotions that you feel in a normal day, like, oh yeah, happiness, sadness, whatever. Normal things. But other than that, I am pretty much one of the more emotionally devoid, very logical people that you're going to meet. I feel I could say that because a lot of people have said so as well, and just the way of looking at things that I tend to have allows me to look at things. I tend to look at things more objectively, but the way that so I feel that I'm able to talk about this in a way that is fair on both sides. Now, the thing that is with emotions recently is that, well, always, it tends to be more towards the victimized side, where emotions are this horrible thing. Avoid them. They are horrible. Don't you ever express them. They are something that should be avoided in every way, shape, and form. That's not right. It's not right. That's why I'm talking about this. I have had a situation recently in my life where I have been in that situation where people are like, oh, you're too emotional. And that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Apparently? Okay, if it's a bad emotion, like hatred or something, I can understand that. You don't want someone to be full of hatred and everything like that. You don't. Hatred, loathing, greed. Understandable, you don't want that around, and that's something that you should probably fix. Not bad to say so, pretty fair. But when it's a positive thing, and it indicates a positive feeling, then why should it be thrown away? Why should it be just thrown off to the side? Look, it's good to be objective about things, but at the same time, you don't just sit there and take all emotion, ball it up into a little thing, throw it in the corner, put some tape in front of it, and just say, no, we're not dealing with that. From my perspective, it used to be, and I still do honestly think of it this way, that emotions do tend to hamper more than they help, especially since most of the emotions that we tend to have are more negative. There's only a few good emotions that we tend to feel more often than not, and those are like love, care, compassion, things like that. But they tend to be more rare and reserved in certain circumstances. Whereas it's easy to hate or be angry or something about just about anything that you see or something that just annoys you. Understandable. So those bad emotions are going to be more on the surface because of the kind of way that our world is. That's understandable. You can't really change that. We can try to change the world around us, but at the same time, just sometimes, I'm going to use a video game from this. If you know this, you're a gamer like me, and you know one of the classics. The future refused to change. It's like that kind of thing, but increasingly now, people seem to look at emotions as they're this horrible thing. Yes, bad emotions are more prevalent because they tend to be around more often, tend to happen more often. Understandable. But at the same time, that does not mean that you take all emotion and throw it to the corner, or you only express it when you feel like it. I don't know. Okay, I can say this because I have a different perspective on it being trained in psychology. I'm a psychology major. You learn to look at things differently when you are in a field such as this, because something that was like, oh yeah, this is just the way it is. We don't really know why it is, but it is. But then you go into this kind of field and you find out the reasons behind it. Cognitive, neurological, behavioral, everything. You find out everything behind it. And then all of a sudden, you get this huge different perspective on things simply because of being exposed to that kind of thing. Now, I still tend to think of emotions as being more hampering because those negative emotions are more on the surface and are more prevalent in today's world because of frustration, hatred. They're so often and so easily found that it's just something that tends to come to the surface more. And it's more negative emotions that are fixed and focused on the psychology so they can be worked with. However, emotions can also be, and this is from the psychologist's perspective, emotions can also be a very positive building tool, would you believe it or not. Part of what emotions can be is either negative or positive, as expected, but it's first off the balance. You have to have the balance. I'm someone that believes very heavily in balance in everything. There's always one of everything. There's always something else. You cannot have the good without the bad. You cannot have dark without light. You cannot have anything without balance. That's the way the universe works. That's the way nature tends to work. It's the way most things work. So it figures that it would follow this kind of formula as well. But a lot of people don't tend to realize the potential that it can have in certain situations. Now, in this case, emotions can be something that can really build up a relationship. First off, you don't want to be completely critical and harsh about things, because if you look at things only objectively, you can't see another person's perspective. And in a lot of cases, a lot of bad things can be avoided, or good things can be created when you incorporate emotions. Once again, there's always that balance, but at the same time, don't just throw them away. They can be so useful. Take, for example, someone that's trying to make a big change in their life. Okay, that person's having trouble. They're struggling. Maybe this is something that's very hard for them. Okay, and you choose to be there for them like a good friend or whatever connection you have to them. You choose to be there for them. Now, say that it's something like, okay, I'll use a real life example. Say that it's someone that is trying to be more positive. Now, they may have negative things be a part of their life for most of their life. So it's a hard thing to do on your own, and oftentimes they'll probably fall through on it. Everyone makes mistakes, no one's perfect. You can't sit there and tell me that someone is perfect, because there's no such thing. It just doesn't happen. Yes, we can be in the pursuit of perfection, but sometimes that's a horrible thing as it is. I mean, just take a look at anorexia. Most of the people that are that are anorexic tend to think that, oh, they're going towards perfection, everything must be perfect. Half of these things are from a pursuit of perfection because you can't achieve it. It's just not achievable. And when you try, you can either have a positive outcome, like, yeah, you became a better person, or two, you can strive in a way that destroys you. It's something that we all have to deal with. But in this case, okay, back to the example. I tend to digress. Who doesn't? But this person is having trouble with being positive, and they may have trouble keeping it up. Now, you as a person see this and see that they aren't taking it too well. Now, you can either be lying, sugarcoater, like I refuse to be, and be like, oh, no, it's okay, you're fine, don't worry about everything. No. You know I'm blunt. I have no problem with being blunt. But being the person that I am, I'm also fair. So, instead of just saying, no, you're being negative, I don't like it, then just, like, smashing them into the ground about it, that's, like, the worst thing that you can do, honestly. Because they're already feeling bad. they're already in a situation where they're having trouble. If you just sit there and beat down on them or don't help them, it's not going to make things better for you or for them. Now, what you could do is you could, and this would be the ideal solution, be like, yeah, you are having this problem and you need to fix it, but you know what? Hey, it's okay. We all have trouble with it. I'll help you out. You know what? We'll look at things together and we'll work on this together. That is a powerful building tool. All you have to do is be there for just a little while. Just something small even. It doesn't matter. Just being there for a person, being supportive yet realistic, and using those emotions in order to feed that kind of thing, that is so powerful. You can build such a strong relationship off of that. Instead of just, nope, you're doing this, I don't like it. No, feed into it. They're working hard, they're trying. Help them. And using these emotions can do that. Don't just shut things out and look at things objectively. Yes, it's very good to look at things objectively. Me being a logical person, I believe very highly in objectivity, because when you tend to get other things mixed in, it tends to distort your view. And as we know, perspective is something that is independent to each of us, so distortions in view tend to occur a lot, and they tend to have very bad repercussions. But you can easily not only make a connection using emotions, but you can really strengthen them using them. Within reason, of course. They can destroy, they can make, everything has that two sides of the same coin thing to it. But just sharing an emotion with someone, being for them when they are emotional, standing up for them, helping them go through that is amazing. And that can do so much for just that one relationship. You don't even know. Seriously, just by making that one small emotional connection, you can build a relationship so much. So, yes, emotions can be a horrible thing, and sometimes they should be shied away from, especially when they're negative ones. But don't just outright reject them. I'm learning this myself. I'm not perfect. I can easily say most of the time I tend to just lock it away myself, mainly because a lot of them that we experience, as I said, tend to be more negative ones than good ones. So me being the person that I am, I tend to not even feel half of the emotions that you probably should, and that's not a good thing. But at the same time, because of that, I can see the different perspectives, I can see where both sides are coming from. But now I'm seeing that because of what emotions can do, and how much of a connection they can have, and how much of a building tool they can be, they aren't something that should be rejected, especially the way that people tend to portray them in the media and everything. The way that they're portrayed is something that's poisonous, horrible, drama creating. Oh my god, it's the worst thing ever in the world. Why? Why does it have to be? It doesn't have to be. It just depends on the person, the way that they take things. And you, if that person doesn't take things, can help them take it better. And by doing that and making that connection with them emotionally, you can become not only closer, but a better asset to them, a better asset to people around you. You're able to be that balance that other people may or may not have. And that can be a huge thing for people. Just being there in a time where someone's like, I don't know, I'm going through a really hard time in my life, I've got a lot of stress, I've got a lot on my shoulders. Just being there being like, hey, you know what? Yeah, you do, but it's okay, because we all do. You know what? I'm not telling you to just shut it out. Don't shut it out. Tell me about it. Express it to me. Let the emotions happen, and then just put them behind you because you've let them happen. Don't just shut them out. You can't, and ultimately when you try, they'll just eat from the inside out. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound too pretty to me. And I think we've all experienced that in one way or another. So, needless to say, I don't think that's a good idea. No, really? Tell me something I don't know. Still, that's just something that I tend to see, and people have done that a lot in my life more recently. And I don't think it's a good thing, because I have emotions, they have emotions, But what bothers me is when people treat it like this, and people are like, "Oh, you're too emotional." What are you talking about? First off, chances are if you're saying that, and I'm a person that tends to be emotionally void, chances are, one, it's a different perspective, or two, you're the one that's emotionally void. And that's also something that's attributed to the vision of strength in the world. Now, I'm going to cover that on the next one. I thought that this would be a nice little prelude and something to begin off of again, because it's something that I've seen a lot recently. That, and two other topics that I feel like talking about: self-valuation and the portrayal of strength and what is strength in today's world. Those are things that I feel like need to be talked about. But this was one that bothered me a lot because everyone just tended to be the same way. Oh, well, emotion. Everyone, was so logical. Yeah, it's understandable. Logic is a good thing to have, but you have to have the balance. I could say this being an extremely logical person, because a lot of people have actually called me inhuman for not being able to feel these things. I don't feel things most of the time. I don't, and I can't. And because of that, people will actually call me inhuman. I'm fine with that, but at the same time, that's not the way it should be, and even I know that, and I'm working with it right now. That's why I feel like it's something that should be said. Because so many people are like, "Oh, you're being too emotional about this," or "Oh, you're overdoing it." Excuse me, what is your perspective? And chances are, your perspective and mine are very different. Because everyone's perspective is different. So don't sit there and casually throw out statements like that. Chances are, you don't know, I don't know, there's a lot that we don't know. And chances are, it's not that bad. Chances are, this is just something that is rare. You don't know, it's the person. Everything is different with each person. It's part of what I love about my field. There's no one answer, there's no such thing. There isn't, because in life there really isn't. You can sit down and write out math equations on the board all you want, but chances are, in real life, you are not going to have that one set of answer that's like, "Oh yeah, this is the right answer." It's not going to happen. And I actually prefer it to be that way, because there are so many different ways of tackling things, in so many different ways, and so many different ways of looking at it. That's why I love my field. But seeing the way that people look at these kind of things in life is just ridiculous. You see people, being portrayed as over-emotional all the time. Yeah, and most of the time they are, because they're dramatizing it. Because the media tends to do that. I mean, you wouldn't be watching a show if there wasn't some kind of drama or something. I can't really relate, because I haven't actually watched a TV show, followed a TV show for years. I don't really watch TV. I really don't. I'll see it once every so often whenever someone is watching TV or whatever, but I don't really watch TV. I'm a gamer. I live in my games. It's pretty much all I do. Speaking of which, I think I've said enough about this, and I've still got the other two topics, so I'd like to deal with that. Plus, I don't want this running too long. I know that not everyone can sit there for a half an hour. I'm trying to fix that on my other channel, but they just seem to run on. Anyway, a little update about that. On my other channel, I have a new LP going, a Pokemon LP, where I get to be my Poké nerd self. Going a little bit overboard on that, but also continuing Sonic, but I have some updates on that. I have a new rig, so that will not be anywhere near as bad as it is now. And I've also had a little mini-series that I put up there on Minecraft with a special guest. So if you want, go check that out, and I will see you on the next time. Bye.